there, it's Molly from the Sassy Apple, and I'm so thankful that you're watching today for video 5 of my back to school series, all about planning the most amazing first week ever. Now, today we're going to get into getting to know you activities. And really, I believe this is the most important part of the first week of school. As a reminder, don't forget to download the free lesson planning guide. It includes all the resources that I discussed in all of the videos, as well as some tools to help you follow along with the videos and plan your first week of school. And let's get started. So I've broken down my getting to know you activities into 3 categories. And the first one is the importance of names, because that is going to be at the forefront of your priority list that first week of school, and even before the first week of school. If you can manage to get hold of a yearbook or log into your school's directory, and so you can start making those connections between your students' faces and names, that will really help you with learning them as quickly as possible. So I don't think we can overlook the importance of getting to know our students' names as soon as we can. Then we want to get to know our students. So we're going to talk about some ways that we can get to know them. We can communicate with their families to learn more about them. And finally, we need to facilitate building relationships within our classroom. So we're not only there to get to know our students, we need to help them get to know each other. So we'll talk about ways that students can get to know their classmates and also get to know their classroom. So like I mentioned, if you can at all find ways to start to learn your student's name before you even meet them on your back to school night or the first day of school, that is a great way to get a head start in learning their names. I have made the mistake in the past that I assumed that once I knew their names that, oh, my students magically know each other's names. And oh my gosh, how wrong I was. One time this didn't hit me until I want to say week 8 or 9 of school. It might have even been longer than that. And it was so sad. We had been in school together for a long time. And I sat down to work with 2 students, and the one student referred to the other one as him or her. And I said, well, what's her name? And they said, well, I don't know. And it hit me like a ton of bricks. I had not put in enough effort to help my students learn each other's names. That first week of school and beyond, I tried to provide as many opportunities as I can for my students to get to know each other's names. One tool that really helps us a lot is our name tags, because it's hard to see there, but I use a piece of Velcro sticky and they can pull those off and take them with them around the room. So we often use those for our beginning of the year activities, take them, bring them to the carpet, and so my students can connect the name to the face as well. And I just try to find different opportunities to practice throughout the day during our morning meeting, even at dismissal when I'm waiting around and I have a group of students left. I'll try to challenge them, hey, can you name everyone who's left in the room? And a lot of times they're up for the challenge. So making sure that you are spending ample time on getting students to practice each other's names is going to be key for starting those relationships. So one of the ways I do this is we play a name game where students share what their name is, and they also share something they like to do and come up with a hand movement to represent what that activity is. So, and if they can't come up with them on their own, we all help them out. So I might say, hi, my name is Molly, and I like to play basketball. This is me dribbling a ball, if you can't tell. So we all say, Molly likes to play basketball. So that's the first person. Then we go to the next person. Maybe it's Sam, and Sam likes to swim. So we all say, Molly likes to play basketball and Sam likes to swim. Then we go to the next person, and it's Tina, and Tina likes to sleep. So we say Tina likes to sleep. Then we go back to Molly. Molly likes to play basketball. Sam likes to swim. Tina likes to sleep. All right, I think you get the hang of it. So we go around the whole circle. Now this takes a long time, so you might want to break it up into 2 or 3 sittings, but it's a fun way to learn something about your classmates and practice those names. And it does take quite a while. We've played the whole thing through, and it does take maybe 30 to 45 minutes, but the students are really into it. So when they're into something, we just keep going with it. So then I try to challenge them the next day if they can remember who liked what. So we kind of revisit that activity throughout the week. You can play this in small groups as well, so it's not as long and not as many people to remember. And again, I utilize the name tags whenever we can so that we can connect the name to the person. So now we're going to talk about some activities that help you get to know your students and they will get to know each other too. So the first one at the top there is a hidden picture, and the blocks covering the picture all have different discussion questions on them, getting to know you questions like what's the best day of the week or what's your favorite subject. So as you discuss each question, you can let students pick which square they want to remove from the picture. They can answer it. Maybe you pick a couple people to answer it. Maybe you have them turn and talk to share their response. So there's a lot of different options with this activity. And then as they remove them, it does reveal a joke underneath. So it's fun. The second one I have there is called Stand Sit, Hands on Hips. So this is just a way to get them moving as they're responding to questions about themselves. I always like to do some follow-up questions then. So if they said their favorite indoor activity is watching TV, okay, so what's your favorite show? Or what's your favorite video game? And we just kind of initiate some discussion. So we do a few each day. We'll probably cover a lot of this when you are going over your routines and your procedures, which we'll talk about more in my last video. But one of the activities I like to use is a classroom I spy. So we just kind of take a look at where things are located and jot it down so that we all are familiar with where the clock is and where the glue is. And that might be a great time to get to know their classroom a little bit more and the layout and where things are located. And finally, don't forget to just have some fun with your students. Not every activity has to be tied to some profound purpose. Just having fun together and playing a game will help you build that classroom morale and get students excited for what's coming in your teaching. So, one of the activities I like to do, and this does actually have a little bit of academics to it, is called memory game. So this isn't your typical memory. This is a virtual memory where I post that picture so everyone can see it. They study it for a little while. You might want to play some music while they're looking at it and try to remember as much as they can about it, because then you're going to switch to the questions page and ask your students these 6 questions about it. You can move those check marks to reveal the answers. And this is just a really fun game that your students will be so excited about. It's a nice little brain break. It also is working on some skills. You can work on vocabulary skills. You're working on attention to detail. So I've actually had teachers tell me, especially last year, they were teaching virtually, and with this activity in particular, they had parents joining in by the end of the week. They were having so much fun with it. It's just a really fun activity that your students will be begging for more. So these can all be found in my 12 back to school activities. I have included a link below and a link in the lesson planning guide if you're interested in learning more about them. The next activity is included in the lesson planning guide for free. It is called Puzzles About Me, and it includes 3 options for puzzle pieces. There's a puzzle page with 4 puzzle pieces, 9, and I want to say maybe 12 or 15. So depending on your age group and ability level, you can choose between those 3 options. We talk about our favorite things, what we like to do, what we like to eat, where we like to go, and they draw pictures all over the puzzle that represent them. And then they cut them out, and they put it into a baggie, and then I partner them up and they swap their puzzles and put them together and share about what they drew when they're finished. I collect them and we use them as a fast finishers activity so students can go put other puzzles together when they get done early. One thing when we're working in partners or groups, I try to be very mindful those first couple weeks to make sure I'm switching up the groups as much as possible so that everyone has the opportunity to work with different people. I don't want to be partnering the same people together. And especially for this activity, I don't want to put kids together who seem like they're already best friends. I want to try to mix it up so they're getting to know someone new. And I try to model and encourage greeting the other person by their name before they get started on an activity. So that's just something that I keep in mind as we're doing different activities with partners and groups. So the first week of school, I have a couple goals that I set for myself in an effort to get to know my students. First is learning their names as soon as possible. Second is to try my best, it doesn't always happen, but try my best to have a one-on-one conversation with every student in my classroom. Now, this doesn't have to be a 10-minute long conversation, but even if I'm just checking in with them, asking how their day is going, how they're enjoying school, just to try to connect with each one, that is always really helpful. And then I do like to communicate with parents by the end of the first week, just send out an email and let them know how our first week of school went. And if I have something specific that I can say about their child, it always makes me feel better that I have really put an effort to get to know them that first week. One way I can do this is through recess observation. So I have gone out to recess and taken a look at what students are doing. Now, sometimes I just make a mental note, but it is helpful that you write down what the student is playing, who they're interacting with, not only for your own information, but this definitely comes in handy when you're talking to parents or in meetings where they will ask questions about how the student is socially, because during those non-academic times, we can gather a lot of information about our student based on their interactions with others or what they are doing during their downtime, during their free time. I've included this free recess observations page, just helpful in getting to know them a little bit better outside of the classroom. And finally, I send home surveys to the parents to fill out about their child, about their strengths, what they see that they need to work on, and what their interests are. It is always so interesting to get their perspective and compare that with how the student is in the classroom. And it really just gives you an insight into what are their strengths and what they need to work on from the parent perspective. That wraps up video 5 on getting to know you activities. We have one video left in our back to school video series, and that will be putting it all together, making your first week of school lesson plan. Don't forget to download the lesson planning guide, and I will see you for video 6.